So this Prokofiev sonata was something I heard for the first time when I was probably 8, I think. I was so fascinated with this piece that I insisted that I had to have a score of it. And so I think on one of the visits to Manchester for one of the auditions for me to get into Cheetham's, we went to Greaves, the music shop there. My mum bought me this copy, which is now 30-something years old. And I followed the score with great enthusiasm and couldn't believe some of the textures. I just couldn't believe it was possible to A, write these textures and B, play them. And so I'm very pleased that as a result of the theme of this festival, this seemed like one of the more obvious pieces to put in. But it's still something that I can't quite cope with in a sort of physical way. Whenever I listen to a recording of it, a good recording of it, obviously, it has quite a visceral effect, and it's quite overwhelmingly exciting. It was written between 1939 and 1942. It's one of the 3 so-called war sonatas, 6, 7 and 8. And it was interesting, of course, that at this time Prokofiev was under some pressure to write music that was suitable for the Soviet authorities. He had been doing that. He'd been writing some pieces that weren't so sort of orally difficult. And in these pieces he decided to write something that was really personal, something that was for him. And he wrote these 3 pieces that are immensely exciting, very dissonant, and uncompromising in a way, but I think approachable still because of the rhythmic drive and also the melodic skill. So, for example, in the slow movements you have this wonderful theme, really beautiful slow movements, which sounds a little bit like this. Etc. The irony is that having written a piece that is mostly quite dramatic and dissonant, he won the Stalin Prize for this. So by writing something that he would have thought that the authorities would disapprove of, he actually got himself into favour with them. But I suppose at that time he's writing something that could be seen as a reaction to the events of the war, and he's writing a piece that shows the horror of the war, and of course even they would have agreed with that. It has lots of dissonance, which I think is absolutely wonderful, chords like these sort of things, which I think are absolutely fantastic. And can you imagine an 8-year-old? I mean, I was just so excited by the... I haven't learnt it properly yet. Probably the most famous aspect of this piece is the last movement, which is a piece which is in relatively rare time signature of 7/8. And it certainly has an element of, I mean, you can't say it's jazz because it's not jazz, but it has a certain element of something. If I just play the very open, etc, etc. So you get that. Here it's more clearly in B flat. Let's start with that sort of blues note. And it's a very short movement, an incredibly difficult movement, but ends in some style, and I hope that people get a lot out of it. I think it's a fascinating piece to have.